You know that feeling when you have not slept in 3 days? Your entire body feels like one giant bruise, and the only thing keeping you upright is a mixture of caffeine and pure spite. That was me last Tuesday. I had just spent 72 hours in a swamp that God forgot to put on the map, leading a training exercise that involved way too much mud, way too many mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds, and absolutely zero showers. I looked like a swamp creature that had unsuccessfully tried to reintegrate into society. My fatigues were stained with things I could not identify, my boots were caked in clay, and I had a beard that was less distinguished gentleman and more, please do not feed the bears. But here's the kicker. I was not just some random grunt. I am a 3-star general in the United States Army. I was heading back to the Pentagon for a briefing that could not wait, which meant I had to fly commercial because the military transport had a mechanical issue that involved smoke and fire. So, there I was, holding a first-class ticket, looking like I had just lost a wrestling match with a garbage truck. I just wanted to sit in a wide seat, drink a whiskey, and pretend I did not exist for 4 hours. Enter Patricia. If you looked up entitlement in the dictionary, you would not find a definition. You would just find a scratch-and-sniff sticker of Patricia that smells like cheap Chardonnay and expired coupons. Patricia was standing at the gate, and she was impossible to miss. She was wearing a leopard print tracksuit that was so loud it probably violated noise ordinances. Her hair was a gravity-defying architectural marvel of blonde bleach and hairspray, cut into that specific angled bob that screams, "I would like to speak to your manager." And then, I would like to speak to your manager's mother. She had a purse the size of a small toddler hanging off her arm, and she was currently using it to batter her way to the front of the boarding line. I was leaning against a pillar, trying to catch 5 minutes of sleep while standing up, which is a skill you learn in the Rangers. I had my rucksack at my feet, a beat-up tactical bag that contained sensitive documents and a laptop worth more than Patricia's entire existence. I felt eyes on me, not the admiring kind, the kind that feels like someone is trying to burn a hole through your skull with a laser pointer. I opened one crusty eye and saw Patricia staring at me. She was looking at me like I was a cockroach that had just crawled out of a salad. Her nose was wrinkled so hard I thought her face might permanently cramp. She turned to the poor gate agent, a young guy named Kevin, who looked like he was reconsidering every life choice that led him to this moment. She pointed a manicured claw at me. "Excuse me," she announced, her voice sounding like a cat sliding down a chalkboard. "Why is this person allowed to stand in the priority lane? This creates a safety hazard. He looks like he has diseases." I did not move. I just closed my eye again. I was too tired to engage in a verbal spar with a woman whose jewelry sounded like a wind chime every time she moved. Kevin, bless his heart, tried to de-escalate. "Ma'am, that gentleman has a valid boarding pass. Please wait for your zone to be called." Patricia huffed, a sound that involved a lot of air leaving her lungs, likely because she was full of hot air to begin with. She marched over to me. I could smell her perfume. It smelled like roses that had given up on life. "You need to move," she snapped. "The homeless shelter is downtown. This is an airport. People pay thousands of dollars to be here. You are scaring the children." There were no children nearby, just a businessman looking at his phone and a nun eating a pretzel. Neither looked particularly terrified. I slowly opened my eyes and looked down at her. I am 6'4". Patricia was maybe 5'2" in her heels. I sighed, and it was a long, rattling sound. "Ma'am," I rumbled, my voice hoarse from shouting orders over helicopter rotors for 3 days. "I'm just trying to get home. Leave it be." She gasped. She literally clutched her pearls. I thought people only did that in bad movies. But she actually grabbed her necklace like I had just insulted her ancestors. Before we see how Patricia manages to destroy her entire life in under 24 hours, do me a favor and smash that like button. Also, I am curious. Where are you watching from? And have you ever had a neighbor who thought they owned the world? Let me know in the comments. Now, back to the circus. Did you just threaten me? She shrieked. Her voice went up 3 octaves. She looked around the gate area, desperate for an audience. He threatened me. This vagrant just threatened my life. I looked at Kevin, the gate agent. Kevin looked at me. We shared a moment of spiritual bonding over our mutual hatred of this situation. Boarding for first class and active duty military, Kevin announced over the intercom, staring directly at Patricia with a dead-eyed smile. I picked up my rucksack. It was heavy. Patricia blocked my path. She stood there like a leopard print Gandalf, shouting, "You shall not pass!" "You are not going on that plane," she hissed. "I know your type. You steal a ticket, you sneak on, and then you rob honest, hard-working citizens. I am calling security." I just stepped around her. It was a smooth motion. I have evaded enemy patrols in dense jungle. Stepping around a woman in a tracksuit is not exactly high-level tactical maneuvering. I walked up to the scanner, scanned my phone, and the machine beeped that beautiful green light. Patricia let out a noise that sounded like a tire blowing out on the highway. "But that is impossible," she screamed at Kevin. "Check it again. He hacked it. He is a hacker." I walked down the jet bridge. I could hear her screaming behind me. It was the soundtrack to my victory. Or so I thought. I got on the plane, found seat 1A, and collapsed into it. It was a wide leather seat. It felt like a cloud made of marshmallows. I put my backpack under the seat beneath me, buckled my belt, and closed my eyes. I was asleep before my head hit the headrest. I woke up to a sharp, stabbing pain in my shoulder. I jolted awake, my hand instinctively reaching for a weapon I was not carrying. It took me a second to remember where I was. I looked up. Patricia was standing over me. She was poking me with a long, acrylic fingernail. She was holding a boarding pass and looking like she had just found a rat in her soup. "You are in my seat," she said. I looked at my boarding pass. 1A. I looked at the little placard above the seat. 1A. "No, ma'am," I said, rubbing my eyes. "I am in 1A. She stomped her foot. A literal stomp. The floor of the plane shook slightly. "I bought the whole row," she lied. "I always buy the seat next to me so I do not have to sit next to peasants." "You are a peasant. You are dirty. Look at that mud. You are getting mud on the Italian leather." I looked down. There was a tiny speck of dried clay on the carpet. It was hardly an environmental disaster. "Ma'am, sit down," I said, closing my eyes again. She did not sit down. Instead, she pressed the call button. She pressed it over and over again. Ding, 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 ding. It sounded like a Vegas slot machine having a seizure. A flight attendant rushed over. Her name tag said, Sarah. Sarah looked like she had been crying in the galley recently. "Yes, ma'am." "How can I help you?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Get this thing off the plane," Patricia demanded, pointing at me. "He smells like a swamp. He is dirty. He is rude. And I think he is drunk. He is probably on drugs. Look at his eyes. They are red." My eyes were red because I had been awake for 3 days straight coordinating a massive logistical operation, but sure, let us go with drugs. Sarah looked at me. She saw the mud. She saw the exhaustion. But she also saw the high and tight haircut. She saw the way I held myself. She knew. Flight attendants always know. "Sir, may I see your boarding pass?" Sarah asked gently. I handed it to her. She checked it. "He is in the correct seat, ma'am," Sarah said, handing it back to me with a nod of respect. "Please, take your seat in 1B. We need to close the cabin door." Patricia turned a shade of purple that I did not know existed in nature. It was like an eggplant had a baby with a beat. "I am not sitting next to him," she screeched. "He is shedding. Look at him. He is probably carrying lice. I demand you move him to coach or put him in the cargo hold where animals belong." The entire first-class cabin was watching now. A guy in a suit across the aisle was recording on his phone. I gave the camera a little wave. "Ma'am," Sarah said, her voice hardening, "you need to sit down, or you will be removed from the flight." Patricia gasped again. "You cannot remove me. Do you know who my husband is? He is a lawyer. He will sue this entire airline into bankruptcy. He will have your job. You will be serving peanuts on a bus by the time he is done with you." She finally sat down in seat 1B, which was right next to me. She made a big show of pulling out a bottle of hand sanitizer and slathering it all over her arms, her tray table, and the armrest between us. The smell of alcohol filled the air. "I just want a whiskey," I mumbled to myself. The plane took off. I thought the worst was over. I was wrong. The worst was just warming up. As soon as the seatbelt sign turned off, Patricia reclined her seat all the way back, practically into the lap of the person behind her, and then turned her attention to me. "So, what are you?" she asked, her voice dripping with venom. "A construction worker, a janitor. Did you win the lottery? Is that how you afford this? Because you clearly do not belong here. This is first class. It is for elite people, not for people who play in the dirt." I kept my eyes closed. "I am a soldier, ma'am," she scoffed. "A soldier? Like a private? They let grunts fly first class now? Our tax dollars at work. Disgusting. I pay $50,000 a year in taxes so you can fly around in luxury while I have to sit next to the smell of wet dog?" I opened one eye. "Ma'am, please be quiet. I am trying to sleep." She leaned in closer. "Do not tell me what to do. You work for me. I pay your salary. That means I own you. If I want you to stand up and dance, you should dance. If I want you to move seats, you should move. You are a servant, nothing more." Then she did something that crossed the line. The line was already miles behind us, but she sprinted back, found the line, and did a tap dance on it. She reached down and kicked my rucksack. "Get this bag out of my legroom," she snapped. That bag contained classified intelligence. It was strictly controlled property of the United States government. And she just kicked it with a leopard print heel. I sat up. The sleepiness vanished. The calm, tired Marcus was gone. General Vance had entered the chat. "Do not touch that bag," I said. My voice was low, but it carried a tone that usually makes colonels sweat. Patricia laughed. "Or what? You're going to shoot me? Go ahead, G.I. Joe. Touch me and I will scream so loud the pilot will crash the plane." She reached down and grabbed the handle of the bag. "I am going to have the stewardess throw this in the trash." I grabbed her wrist. I did not squeeze hard, just enough to stop her. "Let go of the bag," I said. She screamed. It was a blood-curdling scream. "Help! He is assaulting me! He is breaking my arm! Terrorist! There is a terrorist in first class!" She ripped her arm away, knocking over her glass of white wine. It splashed all over her lap. "Look what he did!" she howled. "He threw wine on me!" Sarah and 2 other flight attendants came running. The passengers were standing up. It was chaos. Patricia was sobbing, fake tears streaming down her face, pointing at me like I was the devil himself. "He attacked me!" she cried. "He tried to steal my purse, and when I stopped him, he hit me and threw wine on me. Arrest him! Restrain him!" Sarah looked at me. "Sir?" I sighed. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. I did not call the police. I did not call the airline customer service. I sent a text message to a specific number. The text read, "Code Red, Flight 402, Seat 1B, interference with military assets, assault on a superior officer, requesting MP detachment at gate upon arrival." Then I looked at Sarah. "I am not engaging with this woman anymore. I will remain in my seat. I suggest you get the captain to radio ahead." Patricia was still screaming. She demanded the pilot come out. She demanded they land the plane immediately. She spent the next 3 hours making everyone's life a living hell. She threw peanuts at the flight attendants. She kicked my seat. She muttered insults at me every 30 seconds. I just put on my noise-canceling headphones and listened to classical music. I knew what was waiting for her. She was digging her grave with an excavator, and she thought she was building a castle. When the pilot announced our descent, Patricia smirked at me. "You are done," she whispered. "The police are waiting." I called them on the plane phone. "You are going to jail, swamp rat. You are going to lose your little job and rot in a cell. I am going to sue you for emotional distress. I am going to own everything you have. If you are enjoying watching this entitlement get absolutely crushed, hit the like button and leave a comment to help the channel grow. Trust me, the karma that is about to hit her is going to be delicious." The plane landed. We taxied to the gate. The seatbelt sign turned off. Everyone stood up to get their bags. "Sit down," a voice commanded over the intercom. It was the captain. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. We have authorities boarding the aircraft." Patricia clapped her hands. "Yes, here they come to take the trash out." She looked at me with a triumphant grin. "Bye-bye, G.I. Joe." The cabin door opened, but it was not the local airport police who walked in. 4 men entered. They were huge. They were wearing crisp, dark uniforms with white armbands that said MP. Military police. They were armed. They were serious. They looked like they ate concrete for breakfast. Patricia looked confused. Why is the army here? Did you try to bomb the plane?" "Oh my God, you are a terrorist!" The lead MP, a sergeant major who looked like he could bench press a tank, walked down the aisle. He stopped at row 1. Patricia stood up, smoothing her wine-stained tracksuit. "Officer, thank God you are here. This man assaulted me. He is dangerous. Take him away immediately." The sergeant major looked at Patricia. He looked at her like she was a bug on a windshield. Then he looked past her. He looked at me. He snapped to attention. His heels clicked together with a sound that echoed through the silent cabin. He rendered a perfect, crisp salute. "General Vance, sir." The other 3 MPS also snapped to attention and saluted. The silence in the cabin was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop. You could have heard a singular brain cell die in Patricia's head. Patricia froze. Her mouth hung open. Her eyes darted from the MPs to me. "General," she whispered. I slowly unbuckled my seatbelt. I stood up. I brushed a crumb off my dirty fatigues. I returned the salute. "At ease, Sergeant Major," I said. "Sir," the Sergeant Major said, his voice booming, "we received your distress signal regarding a security threat to a high-ranking officer in classified materials." "Yes," I said calmly. I pointed at Patricia. "This civilian assaulted a federal officer, attempted to seize classified government property, and interfered with the duties of a flight crew. She also claimed to own me because she pays taxes." Patricia turned pale. Sheet of paper pale. Her hand started to shake. "No, wait, I didn't know," she stammered. "It was a joke. We were just joking around. Tell them we were joking." She reached out to grab my arm again. "Don't touch him," the sergeant major roared. 2 MPs stepped forward and grabbed Patricia. They did not do it gently. They spun her around. "Get your hands off me." "Do you know who my husband is?" she shrieked, trying to kick them. "Ma'am, you are under arrest for assault on a federal officer and interfering with flight operations under the Patriot Act," the sergeant major stated. "You have the right to remain silent, and I strongly suggest you use it." They slapped handcuffs on her. The metal click was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. Patricia started crying, loud, ugly sobbing. But look at him. He is dirty. He cannot be a general. He looks like a hobo. This is a mistake. My husband will sue the army. The sergeant major leaned in close to her face. "Ma'am, General Vance has just returned from a 3-day combat simulation in the swamps of Louisiana. He commands the entire 3rd Corps. And right now, you are the enemy combatant. Move." They dragged her off the plane. She was kicking and screaming the whole way down the jet bridge. I picked up my rucksack. I looked at the passengers. The guy in the suit who had been filming started clapping. Then the nun started clapping. Then the whole plane erupted in applause. Sarah, the flight attendant, walked up to me. She handed me a small bottle of premium whiskey. "On the house, General," she said with a wink. "Sorry about the trouble." I took the bottle. "Thank you, Sarah." I walked off the plane. As I passed the gate area, I saw Patricia. She was sitting in a plastic chair, surrounded by MPS and local police. Her husband had apparently arrived. He was a short, bald man in a cheap suit, and he looked like he wanted the earth to open up and swallow him whole. Patricia saw me. You ruined my life!" she screamed. I stopped. I walked over to them. The husband looked terrified. "Sir," I said to the husband, "your wife attempted to compromise classified military intelligence and assaulted a senior officer. The JAG Corps will be in touch. I hope your law degree is better than her manners." The husband looked at Patricia. "You did what?" he whispered. "You touched a general's bag? Patricia, are you insane?" I walked away. I walked straight to the exit, got in my waiting government car, and finally drank that whiskey. The fallout? Oh, it was beautiful. Patricia was charged with 3 federal felonies. She is currently on the no-fly list for every airline in the known universe. Her husband's law firm fired him because of the bad publicity after the video of her screaming went viral. Last I heard, she was doing community service picking up trash on the highway. I like to think she wears her leopard print tracksuit while she does it. And me? I got a shower, I shaved the beard, and I learned a valuable lesson. Never judge a book by its cover, especially if that book is covered in mud and holds the rank of a 3-star general. Moral of the story: if you see a soldier sleeping in first class, let him sleep. And for the love of everything holy, do not kick his bag. This is the end of the story, but not the end of the stupidity we see every day. If you enjoyed watching Karen get a reality check from the U.S. Army, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss the next story. See you next time.